Hey guys, what's up? This is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and it is easily the most fun and interesting phone I've reviewed in 2025. I've been using it for 135 days now, and the question is, am I using it as much as I thought I would? And more importantly, how did it hold up? Let's ramble.
Hold up, things go wild when I pull up. They all on me like a one thing.
Right, so let's just get one thing out of the way really quick. I will always keep an iPhone at hand as well. Being a tech reviewer, that's just the name of the game. And in my case, that is the iPhone 17 Pro Max. However, if I had to pick just one phone and one phone only to use for the entire year, it'll probably be this one. Is it perfect? No, and we will definitely talk about some of the downsides of the Z Fold 7 as well, but boy, did Samsung hit it out of the park with this one. I mean, let's be honest, for the longest time, foldables have been a bit of a gimmick, and they were pretty much only purchased by the real tech heads, you know, the early adopters, or by tech reviewers like yours truly. But Samsung has definitely been one of the pioneers in this space, and it shows. Between the very first Galaxy Fold and this 7th iteration of the Z Fold lineup, there is a night and day difference. We went from a rather clunky device that felt more like a prototype to a fully functional flagship phone that is not only functional, but actually beautiful. I mean, look at this thing. It looks elegant. It is wafer thin, so thin in fact that even folded, it looks thinner than my iPhone 17 Pro Max. Even if I take off the case, you will see that it is still thinner than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. They literally couldn't make it any thinner if they wanted to because they're limited by the thickness of the USB-C port. The cover display no longer feels awkward to use, away with the narrow screens and in with a full-size display that types and navigates every bit as comfortably as your typical flagship phone. Now, what makes this phone so interesting and what makes it such a compelling proposition despite its relatively high price is that it replaces two devices. Actually 3. You could even argue 4, although that might be a bit of a stretch. Anyway, let's start with the most obvious selling point, and that is the fact that this thing is basically a phone and a tablet folded into one. I use it as a normal phone most of the time, but whenever I do need that extra screen real estate, it is there. Switching from a phone to a tablet in an instant is so convenient. No need to stop what I'm doing to grab a tablet. I just fold it open and continue my work uninterrupted. And let me tell you, switching from the cover screen to the inner display, folding it open and being greeted by that crispy AMOLED display never gets old. Needless to say, multitasking on this device is awesome. It was literally built for purpose. And this is where the extra screen real estate really shines. Going into split screen mode is super easy and intuitive, and because of the big screen, you can easily add a third app or more if you want to, and it will all still look perfectly legible. I love using this for doing research or to check my calendar while reading my emails, stuff like that. Now, the third use case is Samsung DeX. Connecting it to a display is easier than ever, and while it won't replace your laptop or your desktop entirely, it can be an absolute lifesaver if you're in a pinch and you need that quick desktop setup. But even without DeX, the Fold has some neat party tricks that kind of make it feel like a mini laptop sometimes. Now, before we talk about the fourth use case, which to me is by far the most surprising one, a quick thank you to Ugreen for sponsoring today's video. If you've been to the channel before, you know I'm a big fan of their stuff, and these two products are some of my favorites. The Ugreen Fine Track Slim Smart Finder is an ultra slim tracker that slips right into your wallet. It is literally the size of a credit card. It is designed exclusively for the Samsung system. It is Samsung Fine certified, and it works with Samsung Smart Things. You can obviously track your wallet or whatever you decide to slide this thing into using your Samsung phone, but it also works the other way around. Just double press the button on the Smart Finder and your Samsung phone will start ringing instantly. It leverages Samsung's global network for long-range tracking. The built-in buzzer will emit a loud sound for close-range locating, and you will get instant notifications if you accidentally leave your stuff behind. It even records and stores location history of your tagged items for up to 7 days in the app, but the best part is that you will never have to replace the battery. You can check the battery level through the app, and 2 hours on the magnetic charger will power it back up for an entire year. Now, if you're looking for a simple keychain size tracker, Ugreen also makes the Fine Track Smart Finder, featuring an ultra mini design with up to 550 days of battery life using a replaceable battery. If you want to try one of these or both for yourself, there will be links in the description down below. Right, back to the video. Now, the fourth use case is gaming, and I'm gonna ask you to really hear me out here. I truly believe that for a lot of people, this phone can now replace a dedicated handheld gaming device. The days that we were restricted to playing silly mobile games have really passed, and it is only getting better. Let me explain. This phone is running on the powerful Snapdragon 8 Elite chip. Has either 12 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, depending on the model, and it has that super crisp 120Hz double AMOLED display. So obviously, it will do a great job at playing those good-looking mobile games like Oddmar and everybody's benchmark sweetheart Genshin Impact, but you can push this thing to do way more than that and turn it into an actual AAA gaming console. Here's a few ways you can do that. As long as you have a decent Wi-Fi connection, you can stream AAA games to the Z Fold 7 and have an actually decent experience. PS Remote Play is one of the options I use since that's my console of choice, but you can also play games using Steam Link. Now, this option isn't new. The Steam Link app has been around for some years now, but the actual hardware on these phones has caught up to the point where this has become an actually viable way of playing games in your Steam library. Now, you can even take it a step further by downloading some of these games straight onto the Fold 7 using an app called Game Hub. Unfortunately, I can't show you how it works since I'm based in Belgium and the app is not available here, but I would encourage you to check out Cyber Dopamine's channel. He has a great video up showing exactly how this works, and I've been really enjoying his content in general. He's trying to get to 100k subs, so if you end up liking his video and you're into gaming content, you should consider giving him a sub. Anyway, a third way of playing awesome games came a little unexpected for me personally, but it's actually Netflix. Netflix has been quietly implementing gaming content into their offering, and they've recently kind of shocked everybody by adding Red Dead Redemption. And if you already have a Netflix subscription, you can download this game on your phone and play it for free. And if you're wondering what gamepad I've been using with the Fold 7, this is the Razer Kishi, easily the best mobile game controller out there. I'll put a link in the description below the video, but yeah, this thing really changes the gaming experience from a clunky on-display kind of deal to a full-blown handheld gaming experience. Right, moving on to another big one, which is of course the camera. Cameras on these foldables historically haven't been the best. It is one of the areas where concessions were made, but with the Samsung Fold 7, that changed. And to a large extent, that is thanks to the fact that the main camera has the same 200 megapixel sensor as the S25 Ultra. The images also no longer have that oversaturated look Samsung was known for, you know? Everything looks so much better now, which I'm personally quite happy about. I was never a fan of the oversaturated look, but yeah, everything just looks way cleaner now. The 3x zoom is not so great as it relies on a measly 10 megapixel sensor, so don't expect this to be your next concert phone. But yeah, if the main camera is where it's at for you, shooting photos and videos on the Fold 7 will be a fantastic experience. An added benefit of a folding phone over a regular flagship is the fact that you can use that crisp 200 megapixel camera for your selfies, since you can use the Fold's cover screen as a camera monitor. Or you can use the foldable screen as a built-in tripod, which I've done way more often than I thought I would, whether it's in the gym for progress videos, or maybe I want to get some quick footage for one of my YouTube videos on the go. This has come in very handy. And of course, we can't talk about the camera without talking about Google Gemini and AI generative edits. We went to London last weekend, and because it was Black Friday, it was more crowded than ever. But this generative edit is so freaking good, you can remove whatever you want and you won't be able to tell it was even there. You can even use the large display to compare the before and after, but it goes so much further than a simple erase. In my initial review, I showed an example of a graffiti mural I shot in Brooklyn, which was partly blocked by wood pallets and other junk. The AI actually went to scrape the internet for existing images of the mural, so instead of just removing the junk, it actually did an impressive job at filling in the blanks because it knew what it was supposed to look like behind it. Speaking of AI, Gemini is great, so great that even Apple, finally admitting defeat in the AI department, will be using Gemini to make Siri smarter, or smart in general, because let's face it, Siri is not the brightest bulb in the tanning bed. Now, a quick few words about the battery. The battery's good, not great. It holds up well, especially considering the massive display, or displays plural, but don't expect record-breaking battery life. Unfortunately, charging the battery is rather slow as well. 25 watts wired and 15 watts wireless charging in 2025 could be better, especially compared to some of those Chinese brands that are coming out with these insane batteries and charging capabilities. But yeah, the battery's fine, it gets me through most days. Some other downsides, well, if you're predominantly an Apple user, there is of course the obvious issue of incompatible ecosystems. You won't have that seamless experience between your phone and your MacBook or your other Apple devices like you would using an iPhone, but I think that's quite obvious and there are actually some really great workarounds these days. I highly recommend this app called Blip. You install it on your devices once, and after that, it is a perfect alternative to Apple's AirDrop, except that it's way faster and more stable. The speakers on the Fold are mediocre, but let's also appreciate that this is a very, very thin phone, and it is by definition acoustically challenged. You can't have this thin of a profile and still expect very rich and bassy audio. Just pick up a pair of buds like the Galaxy Buds FE and you're golden. And then of course there's the lack of S Pen support, which is a bit of a head scratcher since this form factor actually makes it perfect for that use case. Of course, you can't expect there to be an actual slot for the S Pen, again because it's super thin, but I'm not really sure why it can't support the stylus for those who would want it, which I assume would be quite a substantial user base. But enough complaining, let's get to some final thoughts because all in all, this is a great phone. Foldables are no longer a gimmick, this feels like a mature and functional device. Samsung spent a lot of time and money into perfecting their foldables over the years, and they really nailed it with this one. It's been an absolute joy to use, and I will definitely continue using it for the rest of the year. I'm sure most of you will have seen the early hands-on videos of the new Samsung Trifold. I guess now that they've nailed the bifold game, Samsung needed a new challenge, I don't know. I can't wait to get my hands on one. Unfortunately, it's not available in Europe yet, but once it is, I will definitely be reviewing it. So be sure to subscribe and I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one.